Today, let's get into Coryxkenshin's first volume of Monsters We Make. I was always a big fan of his content, and this is some of the fan art that I've made of him in the past. As you can see, kind of like inspired by Afro Samurai and Demon Slayer with the art aesthetic, so I was really curious to see how this manga was going to turn out. Which is why I waited for the physical copy to get here before I started talking about it. But the story takes place in like a futuristic, post-apocalyptic world in a city called New Eden. And what makes this world post-apocalyptic is that there was an event so far that was called the EN, or like the Eternal Night. And due to that, there are certain people in this world that have special kind of powers. And I think in a more broad sense, there are people that can succumb to their negative emotions and turn into these monsters, hence Monsters We Make. And the story starts off by introducing us to the monster and some other people first, before we get into it with the main character, Jabari. Now, Jabari's always had some special abilities because he was born during the EN, the Eternal Night. And after his family's been moving around from place to place trying to make it in this world where breathable air is a very hard thing to come by, they finally land in New Eden where he gets to go to school here. And this is where we start to get introduced to the other people in the cast, like Liam. To which, screw Liam off rip, like, I'm with Jabari here. This dude swipes at you and knocks you into a street. And then as a result, when he almost gets hit by a car, Liam comes in and he saves him. And then he's over here trying to like introduce himself. I'm Liam, you must be Jabari. Like, I would be looking at him the exact same way Jabari is. So best believe next chapter when he's like standing his ground in front of him, I'm like, yeah, exactly, talk your talk. Then we're introduced to September, who's also a really helpful person who's trying to like help us not get involved in the BS that's going on at this school. Because while it's like a normal academy to everybody else, to like the select few really outstanding students, they training y'all to be soldiers. And so far, I find Jabari to be a very relatable character because a lot of what he goes through is what I go through. You could be really good at something, but you'll have other people say that you didn't earn what it is that you got. You could be best of the best, but you'll always have somebody trying to be like, oh no, you still aren't that good yet. And this is why it's good to have like black creators that are also creating series. And I'm not even saying like Cory was like trying to go for this, but this is a real part of our experience a lot of the time, especially when you're good at something. Always being met with a brick wall after you've already proven yourself. You see him right here, like, yo, they offer me the scholarship and now they finna take it away. What's going on here? But then we get a flashback with Jabari that kind of showcases his backstory where he has like very acute senses of hearing. Think of like Zenitsu from Demon Slayer. And much like Superman, he just can't handle hearing all the sounds over and over again, especially when the people talking are talking bad about his dad, who's only trying to make a good living for him and his family. But again, that's that thing I'm talking about where no matter how good you do, other people will find a way to try to demean you somehow. So one thing I can say for certain is I absolutely love Jabari's like, I can do this and you think you can prove me wrong? Nah, I'm finna prove you wrong attitude. So far, he does not let anybody get him down. If anything, if you say he can't do something, he'll go out of his way to prove that he can do it. I respect it. And I'm not gonna like clip show through the whole thing because I do want you to go and read this yourself. But after he learns that the New Eden Academy is taking its top students and putting them out into the field where they might possibly die against monsters that not even the military knows about, he goes off on the dean about it. And I hate this dean. I really hope she gets her comeuppance at some point in the future. So when he like understandably does not want to be a part of this, she's like, oh, but what about your family? I heard your dad got a new job at the Sonata place, right? Even he had to put the fear of God in her, like, yo, you got something to say, just say it. Cause as far as I'm concerned, the moment you bring up a threat about my family, I gotta take you out right then and there. She lucky he the hero of the story though. And then as the story goes on, we end up seeing how these monsters are made in real time, and also how serious the combat versus these monsters are. Super strength and speed, insane durability, other type of weapons. They kind of remind me of ghouls from like Tokyo Ghoul. Like I want to say there are a lot of different anime shoutouts in this show, but I feel like there's a lot of little things in here and you can just tell that you've been following Coryxkenshin. Like maybe I'm reaching, but when I saw these like washing machines, I was thinking about the, puppet combo game Blood Wash, I think it was called Blood Wash. But all I'm saying is it's really cool to see the inspiration and everything. Another example is Allison fighting against one of the monsters, and after she gets injured, she has like a part in her suit that injects in something that can heal her. Think of any horror game you played where you get damaged somehow, you get stabbed or shot, but somehow taking a syringe and going is the way to heal yourself. I'm catching all these things in here, you ain't slick. And overall, I would say that the first volume is pretty fast paced because, they end up going on a mission, they end up having trouble communicating with each other because they are new as a team. Jabari does not know these people, and they were all, except for September, pretty rude to him. Like my mom would always tell me, you gotta work twice as hard to get half of what they got. He is like one of the top people up here and they keep trying to make him seem like he is garbage. Saves their life, gets treated like trash. That's why I love after Allison threatened this dude, like, next time you get in my way, I'll punch a hole in your chest. He was like, oh, next time you finna get killed, I'm just not gonna save you then. Like Jabari got that Detroit, Southside Chicago type of instinct to him that, oh, you gonna say something, I'm gonna say something back. And honestly, I absolutely love that about him. I'm really looking forward to seeing more of this. I've heard people say that the story is like pretty generic so far, and Generic's not a bad thing. For example, My Hero has one of the most generic openings ever, and that's why it took me years to get into it. But after I got over that early hump, I saw like, oh, it was able to come into itself, and like the only part that was generic was just like the hero world. How it went about that hero world though was completely different than I've ever seen Marvel or DC do it. So while with Monsters We Make, I'm seeing a bit of, like Kaiju number 8, students going out on dangerous missions, so you got like a JJK, a type of Naruto thing. Keep in mind, Cory's a human just like y'all. He has the same inspirations that you guys do. If he grew up on the same shows and he makes a manga, that manga might have some of those inspirations in it. Food for thought. Same way the shows that you all think did these things first didn't even do these first. Someone else did it. Not just that, but this is only the first volume, so the way it evolves from this point forward is up in the air. One of the first things I'm interested in learning more of is this school. Not just that, but specifically the dean, because I will see why Jabari didn't want to be a part of this, because she lied to get him in the room in the first place. What else is she lying about? What else is she covering up? We don't know yet. Not only that, but we learned when they were fighting the monster that when they fell through the city, they landed in another city. Because New Eden was just built on top of Eden, which shows that there is like going to be a giant underground subterranean world that has to be explored in this series. Things like that, even though we didn't see a whole bunch of it, open up the world a lot, because that means we have a lot more to explore on top of ground and under it. Also, Han, like the resident smart guy in the group, doesn't even fully know how these people get their powers, so that's going to be explained more in the future too. So while in some aspects this first volume might be generic, in other aspects it's clearly setting up for some really cool stuff in the future, and all you got to do is stay tuned for it. And if I had to pick like my top 3 favorite characters right now, it would be Jabari, then September, then Alyssum. I hope I'm saying that right. I can't front, that first stunt that Liam pulled on Jabari just rubbed me the wrong way, so it might take a minute. And then Han over here talking about Jabari may have used enhancements to pass his test. You don't get out of here with that. But they do come in clutch later, and if you want to see how, you got to read and find out for yourself. But so far, I'm really liking the cast, even if I didn't care for Liam, but at the same time, neither did Jabari. And I'm really interested to see what Cory does with this series moving forward. All I will say though is, Cory, if you ever see this video, I am an artist. If you want some like illustration artwork for volume 3, 4, 5, some key art to promote something else, check my Instagram. You see all the work I be doing. But for everyone else, there is also a way to read this online, so you don't need to get a physical copy to read it. And after you do, you'll end up seeing why Jabari makes this face on the front cover.